So this is my match reaction to the 1-1 draw with Fulham today. Now, obviously, I'm expecting a load of banter tonight. Now, the only thing I am going to ask is that even if you're not a United fan, and even if you are, as I always say, is that as long as we are respectful in the chat, I don't mind banter. And I know it's going to be probably quite a fraught show tonight, and I completely understand the frustrations within this fan base on this game today. Obviously, all I'm going to say is we need to respect each other's opinions on this. I think we're all going to have our different opinions, and we're all going to have our own way that we watch a game. So I just don't think it's going to be I think it's going to be a very interesting show tonight, as how we all feel about what we basically watched there. Now, I wanted to go away. I wanted to take my time and not like some other channels and some other people react to the game straight after. I think it's really important to go away, think about the game, be pragmatic about it, think about what we watched, what we saw today, and then kind of try and have an adult chat about it and talk about this. I think tonight we need to talk about the game. We need to be realistic. That's Salford 69 says, evening, I'm here. Hello, my friend. I hope you're doing really, really well this evening. So I wanted to go away and not react in a way just after the match, where I'm like, let all the emotional bits come out of it. I think people will be emotional, and correctly so. And I think one of the biggest things for me to take away, for me to say tonight, it's not all Fernandes' fault, and I'll go into that. He is an architect in this as well, and I just think one of the things I wanted to say first of all is how disappointing today was. Now, after the Arsenal game and the performance, one of the things that I said, and I can only talk from my perspective, is that one of the things that concerned me was, could we do it in the Fulham game? So Daz says Burnley is a must-win game where Amorim's cooked. I think Burnley is a must-win game for a number of reasons. I don't think Burnley decides him. The problem that he's got, and let's start off, I think, with, let's talk about the game, and then we can move from side to side. You look so gay. Technical library. Even if I was, what's it got to do with you? So what I will say in this chat, obviously you're going to get Prats in it tonight, and clearly you're Pratt. Even if I was gay, what's it got to do with you? One thing I'm going to say in the chat, which I will not put up with, is homophobia, racism, anything like that. So even if I was gay, what's that got to do with anything at all? So I'm not going to explain to you. So I'm my friend. I'm going to see you later. So thank you for that. Idiot. So I accept I'm gay. I love it. Excellent. I'm not gay, by the way, but I really couldn't care less. So what have we got? What a sad day for United. Philip Rome, again, I agree with you completely. Luis Fernando Vicente says Manchester City. Manchester City lost as well. They lost to Spurs. So I don't know if that's a City lost. And we should feel happy about that, which I absolutely don't. Are you on multiple platforms? I think I'm on X and YouTube at the moment. Hesty says hi. So let's talk about the game today. Let's talk about this game today. So I think for the first, and I've seen some people say the first half an hour we played some good stuff. Now, I disagree. I thought we played well for the first 10 to 15 minutes. And then once Fulham settled down into that game, by the way, I'm a Bayern fan. Philip Rome, welcome here, my friend. Bayern Munich are a fantastic side. Opening game, absolutely brilliant. I think the Bundesliga is a very, I think it's quite an exciting league. I think Harry Kane for you guys is fantastic. I just Elise's been amazing, and I can only look in awe at at your club. I think you do things the right way, and you're a fantastic club. So for the first 10 minutes today, I'm going to straight up say that we should have played a number 10. Man United, boo, boo, boo. Yeah, and Badger, I don't mind the banter, mate. As long as we are respectful, I'm expecting tonight to be banter central, which is fine. But what you will learn about me is I'm honest. I'm not one who's going to hide away from this. I think it's really, really important to talk about this. So I thought we started off really, really well. I think Cunha was unlucky to score. I think he should have scored. Me not like both United teams. Right now, Badger, I don't blame you, mate. I don't blame anybody for the present situation. So we should have scored. I thought we looked bright, we looked open, and we should have scored. And then Fulham came back into the game. Fulham as well looked bright. What I thought is they ran through the midfield, and we can go in depth as well. I thought the pivot looked awful. I don't know what Casemiro is doing in this team. Fernandes is definitely not a number 8, and that pivot doesn't work. Now the problem for me with the pivot is that you need energetic players in there who can play a pivot. Now, Bruno Fernandes is really indisciplined, and we'll talk about him. I know he's on the thumbnail, but it's not all of his fault. But, Scott, hi, buddy. Hope you're doing really, really well. Philip says, thank you for the compliment. The issue with United is deep-rooted in your club management, changing coaches and play. Philip, exactly, my friend. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I'm on here, I'm on FC. Fantastic. Cheers, buddy. I think what interests me, Philip, about other supporters is that I like your opinions. It's because it's really interesting what people see, and I think you've hit the nail on the head. And it's something that I will come back to as to why I think we need to be patient. And I'm not done with this coach just yet. So Daz, you are spot on, my friend. There was big signs from last Martin as well, and I will come on to that. So if I don't talk about these things, you're treating the symptoms but not the illness. Exactly, Philip. I couldn't sum it up better. I couldn't sum it up if I tried. That is fantastic. So Casemiro for me was, you might as well not had him in there. I don't know what Amorim is doing with him. Bruno Fernandes, the fact he played 90 minutes for me is criminal, and his persistence with number 8, I think, is not working, and it's going to hinder us. But Amorim, as I've said many times, as we've said on here, Amorim is going to live and die on Bruno Fernandes. Then you've got Ahmad, which I didn't think Ahmad. I've seen lots of people say you must drop Bruno or Amorim. We'll get that by Christmas. I mean, Scott, you can go back, right, and look at some of the videos that I've done. And this is one of the things that concerns me. And I've been saying this for the longest time now, is that when Bruno didn't get sold, he's going to live or die on that choice. But also, not just that, he's playing him as a number 10. Big pressure on Burnley games. We don't need it. Switch Ugarte for Manu. Fernandes is going to play in number 8. I think he should be dropped, but he's not going to be. And I agree with you. I think Manu's supposed to be signing a new contract. If I was him, I wouldn't sign it. I mean, I don't know what he's doing. I think this is proof that consistency is our problem. We can't be football. Exactly what I can when I say I've been saying this. This is basically all in the videos that I've done, and there's no place for me to hide. Right? Even after the Arsenal game, where everybody was saying, we're back, or we're doing X, Y, and Z. Even I've said it's all there that we need to temper this and we need to go for Burnley. I think I agree. Aaron said Kobe's fighting with Bruno for his place in the team. Scott, if that's true, then Amorim is more deluded and more stubborn than I thought he was. I thought we were good, but can you still see the weakness from the real bad season? Yeah, I've said, and I've said it many times. One of the fears for me this season was, as I've always been saying, and I'll keep saying it and saying it over and over again, we've got the same team that finished 15th last season. You cannot change that. You cannot change mentalities. You cannot change that. And this is what the problem is. We've been saying as a fan base we needed to rebuild this. We've been saying that we needed to rebuild this squad, and there's a refusal to do it. Now, looking at Cunha and Burma and Mason Mount, I thought Mason Mount was okay today. Mason Mount, again, people keep saying that he's this great player. I'm not seeing it. Like, he does some good things. He does the odd flick and he does the odd go, but he's so ineffective. I just don't see what the big uproar is. And I know Mason Mount's playing, and Amorim again likes him, but he doesn't do anything. I don't see what. It's okay to have touches and flicks, and there were things today that he did okay. But to then put Mason Mount in the midfield position, I think is ludicrous. So that hindered us today as well. But Mason Mount for me is a squad player. He's not the. I just don't understand when we're going to realise Mason Mount is not the player that he was, and he's a squad player. He comes on in the last 20 minutes to give you some legs when you've got a striker, and that's what he is. Cunha, you play to his feet, and one of the things I just wanted to say before I forget to say this as well. I'll go through. I thought we were good, but Graz says 1 win and you all think you'll well beat us again. Seen it before. Graz, I don't, mate. If you actually watch the videos that I do and watch this chat, you quickly realise that I've not said that. Graz, I completely agree with you. There are fans in this fan base who flip flop like anything at all. I hate that term, but I think the majority of us are mature enough to know that one game doesn't mean that we're back. I certainly do not believe that even after the Arsenal game. One of the things that we were quick to say on this channel before that was we lost 1-0, we played well, we still lost, and ultimately, can we do this again and consistently? And that is what I believe in. That is what we've said on this channel. Why drop off against Arsenal when Rúben needs to switch it? Exactly. What are you on about, Graz? You do watch football. Only Man U fans can take confidence from losing at home. I'd say, Daz, don't let Graz wind you up, mate. You are gonna get people in here tonight. That's fine. We can handle these as a community. Now, I don't know who Graz supports is, because obviously he's not, he's too weak to say that, which is fine. Now, Graz, I do think, my friend, that you are. I think, as Hesty says, I think you are right. We don't take confidence. We take confidence from the performance, but we still lost. And at the end of the day, nobody remembers number 2. If you're an Arsenal fan, nobody remembers second place. Arsenal were the king of second places. But we as a fan base, we are used to this. And yes, there are certain fans in the fan base who 1 win, 1 goal, they think we're back. The majority of us, especially on here, are mature. we've seen this before, and logically we all know because we have been here before. Edgar says, the question is why bench Shesko while the other rivals force are doing with Victor and Ekatike. Edgar, welcome, my friend. I think that's a very valid point. Amorim thinks he's not ready. He said he's only been here for 2 weeks, but as we've shown today, Mount for me is not a starter in Cunha and in Burmo, and I'll tell you what my problem is, and I've got a theory on this. So, you're right. You play Shesko. You play Shesko. You play. We're screaming up for a striker. Get him in confidence. Amorim today reminded me of Ten Hag when we got players in and he didn't want to play them for a couple of weeks. You've got to get them in and you've got to play them. He didn't have a pre-season with us, but he's had pre-season. Why spend all that money and not play him? I agree with you completely. We need a striker. This persistence with a false nine with Cunha up front. Cunha is not a striker. We need to give Cunha the ball to his feet, and there was something that I observed with that, and we can talk about that. Daz says he said what 1 win we haven't won. What's Graz say? You 2 week you never asked. I never asked Graz because I don't care, mate. Really, who you support is. I really couldn't care less. Trolls on here. As long as you're respectful. If not, then you're gonna have to take it, right? So this community is gonna give it to you. So feel free to troll. Obviously, this is not for you, so feel free to move on, my friend. Another issue is the lack of real captaincy. Exactly, and we'll go into Bruno Fernandes as well. All away games are both tough. Are we back in for Believer? Nah. I don't think we can do that deal. Talking about this after, I agree with you, Daz. Chipplay says, hi JB, hello, legend of the chat and one of our mods. So I think through the team today, I'm going to go through some of the scores. Let's just get through that bit, and then we can go in and we can talk about individual players. We can then talk about the manager. I've got a lot to say about him. Fernandes as well. Brash says, what I mean is you could lose and draw 10 games, but 1 win and you forget it all. Nope. A bit like an Everton win draw. You forget every point in the past. That's a weak mentality. Graz, mate, I genuinely, honestly, obviously you watch football in a completely different way to me. I think you watch football in a completely different way to United fans. I don't know who your friends are. I don't know how old you are, but I certainly don't watch football in that way. Nobody that I know watches football in that way. I think if you're a child and you're a teenager, and I know he's a troll, but I think it's really important that if Daz wants an opinion and he's being respectful, I think it's absolutely wise. I will know I respect United, but not the fan base. But the thing is, Graz, I think it's like you say that, right? But are you going to lump all the fan base together? That's my only observation to this, is that how can you lump all fans together? This is a fan base here, and if you come into the chat and you listen to how we talk, instead of trying to get your stupid opinion across, then maybe that you learn that this fan base and this community maybe will teach you something about people, and will teach you something about respect. Very, very ignorant at Graz, but maybe if you come to this community and maybe if you spend a time with us, we base, and I personally base things on logic. And if you stay here, mate, you are honestly this community, and Graz, I'll give you your dues. You're not being disrespectful, which I like, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. And the fact that you're giving me your time, that's cool. But I'd say to you, give us time on here, and you will see sound opinions. So I'm going to go through my scores, and I tell you the reason for my scores, and then comment. Feel free to comment if you watch the match and let me know how you think about it. So the goalkeeper to me today, take it from a German. Deep issues require radical actions. I agree with you, Philip, on a number of reasons there, my friend. Clean your glasses. Nope. No, it's basically the light. It's got nothing to do with how clean they are. What a really random comment. What a really random comment. Clean your glasses. It's just like if you don't enjoy it, then feel free to go away. So Binder in goal for me today was. So we're going to mark him, right? 6 is the average, so 5 is halfway, right? Thank you, Daz. I appreciate that, my friend. So if let's mark it, right? So 6 for me isn't average. So if you're 6, then you're not doing like anything great, right? You're literally just having like an average game. So Bind for me, I think you could argue that he was. I think you could argue he was a 4.55. Now, a 4.5 to a 5. Now, the reason why I say that is you got to knock him down for the corners. He absolutely that guy for corners is out of his depth. I mean, they targeted him. He's a flapper. He was awful, but he does kick pretty well. There's a couple of times where he didn't. There was a couple of times where there was a couple of shots or there was a few times where he did make some saves. So I've got to give him credit for that. So I think for me, Bienda was a 5, less than average, not the best, but I've seen keepers play worse. If one of those goals had gone in, then it would have been a 2 for me. But I don't want to be too harsh on him because I think he's been okay. I'd rather him in goal than Onana, but for me, I think he's a 4.5 to a 5. Now, Luke Shaw. Now, before the game, most clubs would have shown Rúben the door last season. Clinging on to the Fergie story, Rúben is no Fergie. Mate, no one is Fergie. Klopp is not Fergie. Pep is not Fergie. Ancelotti isn't Fergie. I'm not going to go into why Fergie is Fergie because we all know. But we all know, and I think it's perfectly acceptable in most people to know that nobody's Ferguson. Nobody's done what he's done, but that's a different story. Burnley is a must-win game. Daz, I agree with you, mate. I agree with you, and we can come back to that game as well and sort of what we think about that as well. So Luke Shaw, for me today, plenty of people in the chat, and my chat is brilliant, but that's why he kept his job. I don't know, mate. So Luke Shaw, and obviously, I respect our chat, and I respect people's opinions on players. But for me, Luke Shaw, there's a couple of people in the chat today, and I'm not going to name names because I respect this chat. So I was told that Luke Shaw on his day is world class, one of the best centre backs in the Premier League, which I would have agreed with. Now my response to that was Luke Shaw has had his day. I don't know why Luke Shaw gets into this team. I think Luke Shaw at best is a cover centre back. The fact that Luke Shaw is in this team for me just shows me how far we've fallen. Luke Shaw should have gone ages ago, and just absolutely awful. So Luke Shaw today for me was a 5. I didn't think he did anything great. There was a couple of times that he was caught out. Now teams always catch us. There's a gap between the wing backs and the centre backs, and Luke Shaw for me today, I didn't think it was awful, but it wasn't an average performance for me. I didn't think he was particularly good. Feel free to comment on that and tell me why. But in my opinion, I just didn't think Luke Shaw today was great. Now, Dilip for me and Yoro, I think these two have been our best players. I think as a centre back pairing. Now I'm going to give this up to some of the people again in the chat. Now when we talk about this stuff, we disagree on some stuff, and a lot of you say we need to play a 4-4, like a 4-4-2 or 4-3-3. I think in a 4 at the back, Shivram, my friend, hi mate, I am great and I hope you're well as well, my friend. De Ligt and a Euro in the back 4. So if you're looking at, say, how like Arsenal's play in that back 4, those two in there would be, I think, as a centre back pairing, I think they're fantastic. I'm starting to come around to the idea of playing a back 4. Amorim for me, and I will come on more to that. You have a good day, fella. For the record, you have a cracking front 3. Cheers, Graz. Appreciate it, buddy. Welcome back anytime, mate. Seem like a really respectful guy, so feel free to come back. Those two for me, straight up a 7. You could argue they're both 7.5. They are, as a centre-back pairing, I think they're phenomenal. I think it's an absolute shame that we play a back. I think for me it's a shame we play a 3 at the back with those two. I think Luke Shaw is the odd man out. I think he's made to look very, very ordinary. Luke Shaw he's done in my eyes. I think he's so done. I'd rather Heaven play in there now, but this persistence with Luke Shaw, so I'm really hoping that Amorim can sort that out. So for me, a De Ligt Euro is a 7.5. You could argue, and I think those two were probably the best players in the game. Switch Ugarte for Kobe, Daz, yeah, mate, I agree with you. I'm going to go into the wing backs next before I go for Fernandes and Ugarte. Sorry, and Casemiro. Dorgu, average today. Dorgu's average today. I'd probably give him a 5 as well. A 5.5. You could probably argue that. I thought he was average today. Is what's clear is that there is as what was said, and I'll tell you who said it now. As Philip said, Philip's made a cracking point, right? Is that there is a disease in this team, and it started from last season. It's been here for a long time, and when players impact and infect other players around them, and Dorgu is a case of that today. He didn't have a good game. I thought he was a 5. He didn't get the ball that much. When he did get the ball, he didn't really do anything with it. There was just nothing from him today, and I think that he was a 5. What are we doing? Number one. Number one. I can't read the name out. Number 1, but that is quality, my friend. So jolly evening. Our centre backs are quality. Bruno playing as a CM is number 1 issue. I agree with you. Followed by the keeper. Need to cash in on Bruno. Would be smart play, and one real City and Bayern would do. I agree with you. Number 1. I agree with you completely on that one, my friend. Bruno Fernandes for me, and I'll come on to him next as well, mate. Shivram says Baliba subbed at half times. Definitely nah, Shivram, mate. I disagree. I'd love it to be right. I'd love you to be right, my friend. I'd absolutely love you to be right, but I don't think you are. They was yeah. I agree with you, and I think that we can talk about that. We need to drop Bruno and Shaw for the midweek game. Agree with you. So, Ahmad. Now, Ahmad for me is not a wing back. He's been asked to play a wing back, and Martin, you're right. I think Dorgu is still going to be up and down. He's a young player. I've got no problem with him. He's just had a bad game today, and young players tend to have bad games. So just because I give him new here, do your things, sir, in order. Number 1, mate. Yeah, I will move around, but I'm older, so I need to concentrate because I'm I'm an older guy, and my brain is not what it once was, my friend. Um, we would have had a bowel movement had you got Donnarumma. It would have changed everything. Oh, guys, that's funny, mate. Scott says we need to drop Bruno. Yeah. So Ahmad on that side today, I feel sorry for Ahmad. He's one of our best attacking players. He's not a right wing back. He's not a wing back. He's not a right back. He's a number 10. And I tell you, I've got a ton of problems with Amorim on those 10 positions as well. I feel sorry for him. Again, I thought he was a 5 as well. You know, he didn't really do much today. Defensively, I thought he was okay, but you know, how can you have a player who one of our best defensive players last season and put him in that wing back position? I think it's criminal. I think if I was him, I wouldn't be happy. I would be, you know, these players now, we're starting to see them not being happy in these positions. A long time that Casemiro for me is done and dusted. Red flag to me why Amorim is not playing Mainu in that position. I've been saying for a couple of weeks now that Amorim likes 2 CMs. Doesn't necessarily mean a number 6 and a number 8. He wants 2 hard-working centre midfielders that link the pivot from the back 4 to the front 3. That's what he wants. I don't normally swear. Okay, you know I'm quite a logical and well-centered person, but what the fuck is he doing playing Casemiro? For me, I have absolutely no idea why he's playing Casemiro in this team. Casemiro is done. Why the hell is he playing Casemiro? In his press conference, he's even saying that Casemiro is a handicap. He's not the world-class player that he once was. He was awful last season. He's older this season, and he's even worse. Why he's in this team, I cannot understand what Amorim is doing with this player. He's awful. Bruno Fernandes, the great divider. Let's go through some of the chats before we go on to Fernandes. They're meant to be one of our best keepers of the next in the world in the next 3-4 years. I really hope so, my buddy. Shivram says Bruno just slows down the play because he wants to get involved every time we play. During the first 20 minutes, and we didn't give Bruno. I can't disagree. That's if we draw against Burnley, questions will be asked from us and the board. Rooney playing like a 28 when he was 19, but he was brought in as one of into one of Ferguson's squad. I remember when Rooney come through and he was 18, and he'd not long been at the club, and we played Fenerbahce in the Champions League, and he scored 2 goals. And I remember Giggsy lining up a free kick, and Rooney said, "Give me the ball." Bearing in mind at that time, Ryan Giggs, Champions League winner, multiple Premier Leagues, multiple FA Cups, and Rooney comes in 18, says, "Give me the ball," and smashes it in the back of the net. We don't have any of those players anymore. We're far from it. We need the butcher back. Scott, I don't disagree, my friend, but Martinez for me is cooked as well. I think he's had it. You know, I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say Luke Shaw has had all these like injuries and been out for a couple of years. The butcher's been out pretty much for 2 years as well. He ain't coming back, mate. He's coming back, but you know, I think he's done it. Because they said, "Come on, we're adult shoot, you can swear." No massive pressure. The reason why I don't like to swear is because I'll get a strike on the channel. I don't mind swearing. I'm not against it at all. In my everyday life, I do swear quite often, but I try to keep it chill, because I think that there's no point losing my rag. The only time I do is when I'm a very logical person, right? And I think about what I'm going to say, and I think about it. When something is illogical to me, when it's so obvious, it frustrates me. And when you've got Casemiro, who is done and dusted, and this club refuses to replace him, it's illogical to me, and I absolutely cannot abide it at all. Sell Cas to Saudi and bring in Agume, mate. I wish we could. Number one, Casemiro needs to move on. I won't 100% blame him. No, exactly. Number one, every player has their day, right? He was a fantastic world-class player. I cannot tell you what a fantastic player he was. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. I blame Amorim for playing him. But he's got a contract, right? And I don't blame Amorim. I don't blame Casemiro. He doesn't play himself. So I get frustrated with him as a player, because I think that we should, because I think we need to keep on at the club and keep on at this. But for me, he's done. And I blame Amorim for playing him on that one. Hat trick, I think that time, 2004. Yeah, it was a hat trick, mate. It was just unbelievable. Carlos, shocking. Carlos, welcome to the chat, my friend. Absolutely. Family friendly channel. We're trying to keep it that way. Yeah, I think Scott, I think what we're trying to do, buddy, here is, you're right. I think we're trying to be, or I'm trying to get this from a logical perspective, right? I want you guys to have your opinion on here. I am not a dictator of this chat. What ultimately I want to get through is us to have our own views, and you don't get shouted down for having your own views. We may disagree, but I think it's really important that we come and we listen to each other's views, and we just talk it through. I was absolutely at one point, we've got to play a back three and two wing backs, and now thanks to the chat and from what I've seen, I absolutely think that Amorim needs to tweak this system. Martinez Shiram says, if Amorim is trying to win or here to revive careers like Mount, Shaw, transform, bring it into an 8, when will he be called out? We need to call him out. And I'll give you my opinion, and we can walk through this as well, and I will give you my opinion on that as well. Bruno is not an 8. True. Give some time. It's changing. I see good things. Pug Spark, I really like that comment, and I'm in agreement with you on that one. I'll go through the players, and then we can come back to, in essence, I agree with that statement. I agree with that statement completely, and I think you make a good point there, and I agree. Shiram says he has ruined the essence of the culture of bringing and nurturing academy talents. He's a wordplay master. What the hell is OB Morehouse main? Obviously you're referring to Amorim there, right? But at the moment, I think there's a bit of a misconception about our youth, right? There's loads of calls for Kone to play. Keith Moorhan, hello, my friend. Keith Moore. There's a lot of chat in here for Kone, for example, and OB, right? Menu, I take that point completely, but the youth are not ready. Like, I think what people, no offense, but you need to switch to 18+ mode. Family channel won't help you grow. I don't think there's a setting for that, is there? This is a not for kids anyway. So I think is there an 18+ thing? But then again, at the same time, Daz, what I don't want to do here, mate, is I personally don't want a bunch of people on here, swearing and whatever else, because I just don't see what conducive that is to a discussion. I get 100% people are frustrated, but I think there's a different way. I think there's a different way to do it. And Daz, I don't take offence at all, mate. So to go back to Shivram's point, right? So Kenneth is saying chasing Simons all summer. They're either not playing them or out position. Exactly, Kenneth. I agree with you completely on that one. Shivram says he's ruined the essence. Shivram, I think there's a misconception about our youth. OB is not ready. OB, if we're referring to the likes of, and I'll go back to your other chat as well. So you're saying even Beckham, Neville were not ready. You do realise when Beckham, the only one of the class of '92 came through, was Ryan Giggs, and he was 18. I think he was 17 years old and 18 years old. Gary Neville, Philip Neville, Scholes, Beckham, Nicky Butt were in their 20s. And I mean, they were 22, 23, even 24 when they came into this side. Scholes was terrible. I mean, if you'd have watched Scholes play when he was 23, he was shit. He was absolutely terrible. So Fergie didn't bring these guys through at 18. They weren't 18. They weren't children. Beckham went on loan, I think, to Brighton. Scholes had been on loan. You know, these players didn't come in. You know, Obi 17. You know, Kone is 18. You know, in my opinion, and again, I don't disagree about the youth, all right? But they're not ready. They're 18. Kobe Manu is one of the best examples. You look at the age that he came through. He's absolutely burnt out last season. The season before, he played a whole season. We put pressure on him. He went away with England, and then he got burnt out, right? What you got to realise about these young players as well is they're still at that age physically. They still need to grow, right? Obi will not be the same size he is now when he's 22. They need that time to grow. They need that. You know, if you look at Manu, he's 5'9", and he's carrying a load of bulk, right? So he's obviously playing, his body's responded to physicality, he's at the gym, but he's not good. He's 20 years old. He's not going to be the same when he's 21 or 2. So he's going to need time. So we can't bring these players through just yet. They're not going to be the same player. There's Arsenal when he came through. Like he came through super, and his career was done by 26. Like we can't bring these players through too early because it absolutely kills them, absolutely destroys them. So I think there's a myth about the class of '92, and there's also a myth about players, the youth players now. Obi's not ready. Kone's nowhere near ready. And you know, we've got this young kid who's going to come, you know, who's going to try and train at 14 years old, but he's not going to come through either. So I think there is a misconception there about our youth. Carly says, hopefully we'll bag 5 goals against Grimsby. I mean, yes, I do, but I just don't see what that does. You know, I think Shesko playing in that game and getting a couple of goals, but other than that, I just don't see the benefit. You know, imagine if we draw against them. You know, we need a win against them. I agree, but I just don't see what we learned from that. Moose, Beckham, Neville, etc., and Schmeichel had Cantona. Number one, exactly, my friend, and this is what I've been saying as well, is that the difference is young players used to come into our squad, had elite mentality players. Roy Keane on his own would boot these players. You know, you had Pallister, Cantona, Keane, you know, Schmeichel, Bruce, Irwin. You know, you had all these players. So these players were able to be embedded into the squad and have these winners, have these elite winners around them. These youth players don't. They've got Fernandes, and we'll come on to him. It's one of the most ill-disciplined. His performance today was embarrassing. Absolutely, and I'll come on to it as well. Absolutely embarrassing. I was embarrassed today. Keith Moran says, we need time and this league will not allow. Exactly, Keith. Our leader is Bruno, who's petulant and lets an accidental. I was going to come on to that as well. So that's amazing. He got psyched out by keeper. Shivram says, I agree, mate, with your views. I feel that you are good if you are good, irrespective of age. Yeah, Shivram, again, mate, I agree with you. I just don't think he understands just yet physicality. I've seen such crap about Bruno and the ref petulant to say the least. I know. Keir says, went to Grimsby once, smelt like the worst fart of my life. Oh, that is quality. I mean, no disrespect to Grimsby. That's Keir's opinion. That isn't mine. I've never been to Grimsby. I've seen the film. And I don't know how true that is. So let's get on to Bruno Fernandes, the sort of main meal of this, and then we can talk through the team and we can talk about what we think is going to happen in the season. So Fernandes for me today. Spoiler alert: I thought I am going to be fair. I'm going to be balanced. When I talk, I try to be very, very, very balanced and very, very fair. Fernandes is not a number 8. He's a number 10. So he's been played out of position. Creation Gaming, did you see Arsenal 5-0 against Leeds? I'll give you my opinion on that one as well. Rick says, upset by performance today. Penalty miss, Rick the guts. Oh my God. Oh, Rick, you're right, mate. That penalty. And we'll talk about that right now. I just want to respond to the Arsenal thing as well, right? So I did, but Arsenal fans and AFTV and all that crap are going at Arsenal have just literally won the World Cup. Arsenal for 34 minutes didn't have a clue. They played some good stuff. They passed the ball around. They looked comfortable. They didn't know what to do with Leeds. They couldn't break Leeds down. Leeds are a championship team who've come up. On the last game they played us, they were awful, but they still won. They come up against Leeds, perfect second game, really. Our second game was against Premier League royalty now. You know, they've been there for such a long time, okay? Now, they scored a corner. Arsenal were fantastic at corners. That set them up. And then Leeds basically did what West Ham did. Leeds were a little bit better, but they capitulated. They give Arsenal the ball. Leeds had no idea what they were doing. No idea what to do, had nothing. And then once Arsenal then got the second goal, Saka's goal was a great goal. Leeds did nothing. They had no fight. They had no spirit. They're a championship club. Second half, then Arsenal grew into the game, and Gyökeres, I thought Gyökeres was crap, but he still scored his goal, got a penalty, and now he'll get better and better and better. And I thought Arsenal completely controlled the second half, were good, but Arsenal weren't the best team. Like in terms of Arsenal weren't this amazing team yesterday that won 5-0 because they played amazing from start to finish. For 30 minutes they played good stuff, but they couldn't do much against Leeds, and it was only when Leeds made mistakes. Like Fulham today didn't make any mistakes at all, absolutely no mistakes at all. So I at the end of the day, Arsenal won 5-0, but I didn't see it. Like I thought Leeds were easy. I thought Leeds had nothing. They offered nothing. If we'd have played Leeds today, we would have beaten Leeds. But we played Fulham, who are an established Premier League team. I'll go back up to what we're saying about Bruno. Yeah, Rick. So I'll come back to you with that performance as well. We conceded that goal because he did not track Smith Rowe. Everyone sees how bad Bruno is at number 8, except this manager. Wano Jonas asked him the question. I'm shell shocked. So let's get on to Fernandes today. So I'm going to prefix this with Fernandes is a number 10. Fernandes is not a number 8. So I'll be fair and logical to that. However, he's been asked to do a job by a manager in number 8. I think Amorim, as I've said this before and I'll reiterate it again, Amorim's obsession with Bruno Fernandes is going to get him sacked. I've said that many times, and Bruno is not the number 8, so I don't know what he's trying to do with that. Bruno last season, even in the 10 position, was terrible. That final against Spurs was unforgivable, in my opinion. He's the captain of this squad, and if you cannot get up for a final, he's been missing for 18 months. I accept he scores goals, I accept he gets assists, but that's because he's here, there, and everywhere. Now, Bruno is one of the most ill-disciplined players. He's not a captain, in my opinion. I get that he runs and he gives 100% for this team, but doesn't mean that you're the best player in this team. I do not know what Amorim is doing. In the last 2 games, I didn't think he was good against Arsenal either. He is so ineffective as number 8. And again, he doesn't listen. He doesn't listen. He's obviously been told to do a job which he cannot do. He doesn't listen. He then started pinging 30, 40, 50-yard balls. Give the ball to Cunha. Give the ball to Cunha's feet. It's almost like he thinks he knows better and starts crossing in these 50-yard balls. What is he doing? I don't understand why Bruno cannot play the ball to feet. I don't. His language today, he looked like he didn't want to be there. The penalty was an absolute embarrassment today. I was embarrassed by what he did today. The fact he got psyched out by a referee was embarrassing, and that penalty was one of the worst things I've ever seen. And then the way that he came out then after half time and started giving it to the referee because of what he did. He's not a captain of this team. I know we can't sell him because we can't replace him. It doesn't mean I don't want to sell him right now, but if we get rid of Fernandes, whether we like him or not, we'd have to get 2 centre midfielders, and we cannot do that. Either we should sell him in June, or we're going to regret it. And what's going to happen is the first bad game that he has, and I just don't get it. I don't get why he can't get it into his brain that what does he think's going to happen? He's not a number 8. You know, I'm not going to blame this on him, but the first goal against Arsenal was his fault today. He doesn't track back. He doesn't play in the corridors that he's supposed to. He does what he likes. He picks that ball up, and instead of giving it to feet, like in that pivot is so key, but there's no pivot. So because he's so ill-disciplined, there's nothing there. There's absolutely nothing there. He doesn't give ball to feet. What are the front 3 supposed to do? And then when you combine that with Mason Mount, which I thought he was average today again. I mean, for me, Fernandes today was a 3. For me, I thought if an average is 6, for me, Fernandes today was a 3. I think it's time to go. I thank him for what he's done for this club. I love his commitment, but he don't want to be here, and I don't understand why he didn't just take the Saudi money and go. He doesn't want to be here. I think it's almost like a Rashford, where I think the fan base and the club need a break, and he needs a break from us. I think that's what he needs, and it's not going to happen now because we can't replace him with 2 people. And not just him, we've got to fill in that centre midfield position anyway, and then yet we've now got to replace him. So there is no time. I think we should get a centre midfielder in now and look to replace him in the next minute. I'm also convinced that there's a deal to be done next season as well. So I think Fernandes, for me, we're going to have to persevere. Just going to have to hope that he can come back and do something. But I think his time is very, very soon up with this team. Rick says Bruno needs to go, although I wasn't his greatest fan. I really appreciate him often for exactly saying what I've just said, my friend, and I agree with you. Isaac says Bruno is the problem, playing out up position, but he needs also loads many other. Amorim ain't good enough, and will be the biggest problem. Isaac again, you know, good comments. You know, this is what I love about this chat and this community, is the intelligent chat on here. You know, nobody's you know, swearing at him and saying that, you know, he's f this and f that. I think we're being very pragmatic and we're having an adult conversation and a realistic and a logical conversation about a player who's playing out of position and a manager who's persisting with this player in this position. He's a number 10, and I'll give you my opinions on that as well. I believe Amorim wanted to play Bruno. He should have never signed him. But Shivram was going to come on to that, my friend. You have stolen what I was about to say, which is good. So I agree with you on that one. He's off to Saudi this week. Fernandes, stupid. I'm with the manager. Let's get them likes up. So thump that. Thank you, number one. I still like your name, mate. It's absolutely cracking me up. I love it. I love it so much. He was the reason why we lost. Exactly, Shivram. I'm with the manager. Once Sesko in bed. New Era says he's an issue. He's always been the issue. Attitude is a disgrace. Again, I can't disagree. His attitude today, it was an embarrassment. I was embarrassed to call him a captain today was nothing but embarrassing. The way that his face was on the pitch all day. Where's the drive? Where's the shouting at these players to get them to do something? Where's the getting that ball? I'm not booting 50-yard balls. Getting the ball down and telling these players to play in their positions and giving it off to Cunha, giving it off to Mbumo. Making these players make their runs. That's what a confident, good captain would do in that position. But he just can't do it. I guarantee he plays against Grimsby and Burnley, and he'll have worldies. And exactly, do you know what, Kenneth? I don't think he will, mate. In terms of, I don't think he'll have a good game. Grimsby, yeah, because at the end of the day, it's Grimsby, right? But I don't think he will have a good game, mate. I don't think he will. I think there's a problem there. There is an absolute issue, and I don't think that he's going to have a good game for a very, very long time. Like I said, Mason Mount needs a rest. Mason Mount for me, mate, is not the one. Mason Mount plays very well. If you're looking at a 2x2 square, right? Mason Mount is very, very good in those pockets. He's very good running into squares, right? So I can imagine Mason Mount is when you play that game where everyone's in a circle and you're trying to pass around, and then you got the players trying to win the ball back. I reckon Mason Mount is excellent at that. His control, his touch, but only in that 2x2 square. Anything out of that, no, he's not for me. His little flicks, his little kicks, there's nothing else. Like there's nothing else. Like he's not. He can't play in the midfield. He's too slow. He can't get up and down the pitch. So for me, Mason Mount, he's not the Mason. I think people need to forget the old Mason Mount. This is the new Mason Mount. Mason Mount reminds me of Mata at the end of his career. That's what he reminds me of. Still a very good player, a good brain, good touch on the ball, but that's all he's got. He's got nothing else. He's got no physicality about him. I just for me, he's not a starting. He's another one. Today I'd give Mason Mount a 5 as well. This persistent with Mason Mount that he played him in the final as well as Amorim for me is a red flag, and we can talk about that as well. Bruno is a stat number 1, right? Let me tell you something, right? I always call Bruno a stat padder. I am go back and watch a lot of the videos that I do. I couldn't sum it up better again. I call Bruno a stat padder, right? Look at his stats, brilliant stats, goals and assists, but the eye test doesn't lie. I agree with you. I cannot agree with you more, and it's really funny that you're the only other person that, other than me, I've heard him being called that, and I agree with you. He is a stat padder. He's one of these players. On the eye, he's awful, but he does, mate. He is a stat padder. Shivram says, well, we can go for Stila and Agume, Basen and Bruno. We can, but not in this window. I just don't think we do it, mate. I would love you to be right. I just don't think we do it. I just don't think we can. There's not enough time. There is 7 days. There is just no time, mate, at all. Next season will be too late, and we definitely lose Belieber. I agree with you. Mason Mount was brilliant last matches. Lucky, I disagree, mate. I disagree. I respectfully disagree. You know that. I value opinion, and I will let people have their opinion. But I absolutely, I just don't see it with Mount. Rick says, got to be fair to all concerned. Exactly, mate. You know, Bruno's not a terrible player. You know, he's playing out of position. Bruno isn't a terrible player. It's just he doesn't want to be here. His attitude is all wrong. He's not a captain. He's not a captain, and I just think it's his time to go. I just want the manager to start Ugarte Manu instead of Bruno. Ugarte Burnley is. I think Amorim is treating this first 3 games as pre-season, and I think Amorim is Amorim on a hiding to nothing here, and we go through him as well because he's not going to get away with this either. I'm Amorim in, and I still want to give him time, and just because I am doesn't mean that we can't go in on him and just don't deserve. Cheyenne, he doesn't, mate. It pains me every time I see Mason Mount in that number 7 shirt. You know, as I say, I don't think he's necessarily a bad player, but he's not the Mason Mount that he was. He's never going to be that. He's just never going to be Mason Mount. I've been saying this, and you know, people in our chat, you know, I respect them so much. And people, I just think people want these players to be as good as they were, and I completely get that. But I've got to say this again and again and again, and I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face, not because I want you to agree with me, just because this is my opinion on this. Even before the season started and after the Arsenal game, this is the same team that finished 15th last season, and we've got to have that in our minds. We have to. We finished 15th, so all this talk of 4th and 5th is nonsense. We're definitely nowhere near that, and I think if we keep together on this, and whether we want the manager sacked or not, ultimately we've got to will this team into a decent position this season. I don't want to sack another manager, and I will come on to that as well. You guys got a baller in Manu. Chinabi, thank you, my friend. You are wasting him on the bench. I don't know what's going on with Manu. I don't know. I do not know. If I was him, I'd be pushing for a move at this club, mate. Like he says, Rasmus Højlund sell. We're pushing Onana. No, I disagree, mate. Lucky, I disagree. I don't think we do. In regards to Højlund, what annoyed me today was we needed a striker on that pitch. Mason Mount should not be starting in that role, right? We've got Højlund sat on the bench. You can argue that if Mason Mount is going to go, don't play him. But we need points. We need to win games. I would have played him today. I would have played him and then brought on Shesko. I'm adamant on that. I would have played Højlund today. We needed the points. Points mean more to me right now, and I would have played him. I agree with you on Mount. Rick says he needs a system which fits his profile. Can't see how he will help him. Exactly, Rick. For me, he'd be good. He'd be good in a City side, right? And why I say that is because he's got legs around him. He can sit at the top of that midfield. He can sit in behind either a striker, central position where he doesn't have to move that much, and he can just move it from side to side, and he can just stay in that square of a 2x2 or a 3x3. He's got something to offer, but he's got no legs, and I don't understand the persistence. I've been saying for the last 12 months, Bruno is me. Scott, I agree with you, mate. He is. It's all about Fernandes. It is the Fernandes show. Today, these 30, 40, 50-yard balls. Give the fucking ball to Cunha. So Cunha scored today. I'd probably say I'd give Cunha probably a 5.5, 6. Again, what's Cunha supposed to do? He doesn't get the ball to feet. Give the ball to his feet. In Burma as well, there was a ball over the top from the keeper, and he took it down. Just absolutely just fantastic. Cunha shot. I thought Cunha, and then they both died because Fernandes refuses to give them Fernandes refuses to give them a ball, and I don't know why. I don't know what Fernandes is doing. We've got no midfield, and all their pressure comes straight through that midfield today. So Cunha, for me, through no fault of his own, I thought was a 5-6, probably a 6, and then Burma for me again was a 5.5, which again proves that what happens when our new signings are having a bad game. We've got nothing else. So when these players are having a bad game, what are we doing? Like we've got nothing else to combat that, and that for me is a scary thing. Do you think we need a new CDM? Gora, yes, I do. We need to learn. What I'm going to say is I'm going to wipe my specs now. Is that in this system, I think we need a CDM, right? I think we need an old-fashioned CDM that sits there in front of a back four. I'd go to a back four and sits there, right? Amorim doesn't play. Amorim doesn't play a CDM. He doesn't play a number 6, and he doesn't play a number 8. What Amorim plays are two centre midfielders in a pivot. It doesn't really matter how defensive they are or offensive they are. It does to a degree, but what he wants in the middle of that park are think of it as 2 lanes, right? Imagine old school wingers who run up and down that wing, right? Where he wants is in 2 lanes, and those centre midfielders, not necessarily a number 6 or a number 8. He wants those 2 players to go up and down, up and down, up and down. So he wants physicality. He wants people who can carry the ball. He wants people who can tackle, people who are disciplined to do the running up and down that pitch. That's what he wants. He wants those 2 players who will do that job for him up and down the centre of the field. When they attack, they go forward, but then they sprint back, and then they help those wing backs out. That is what he wants, right? So yeah, you could argue that you could have one more defensive one, like a Gume, who's a tackling, pressing guy, and then you maybe have slightly someone who's a bit more offensive, like a Steeler or maybe a Wharton in there, who can sit there, still physical, can still go up and down the pitch, but is a little bit more of a passer, and that's what he wants. But that's what we don't have. We simply do not have the midfielders to play that position. The worrying thing is that look at Frank at Spurs. It might not last, but it's positive. Exactly. Look at what Spurs are doing. They've got 6 from 6, and we're already catch up. We've got 1 point. Amorim, I think his record now is 7 from 29. I mean, we are just 1 from 1. Teneby says, you guys are the problem. You lost against Arsenal and started hyping up players and manager for losing the game because you played great. Truth is, Arsenal were just poor and still won. Again, I respect that opinion. I think you're wrong. If you've been in this chat for a little bit of time now, and particularly on here, what we do on here is we logically chat, right? And I don't know if you've been listening at all. Go back and look at the videos that we do on this channel, and I think what you need to do is you need to separate out channels like this. I need to separate out the fan base. I think it's really easy to be very one-track minded and go the fan base, like your fan base of Arsenal, fan base of Liverpool, fan base of us, right? On this channel, we never ever bigged them up after the Arsenal game. We were excited from what we saw. We were expectant for today, but at no point did we say that we were back. At no point have I hyped up players. At no point on here have we hyped up players. What I tend to do on here is I tend to read out chats, and the reason for that is because then there can be no ambiguity from what people say. Okay, against Arsenal, I had my opinions on Luke Shaw. I had my opinions on Fernandes. No, not once did I hype these players up. I then went on to say that Arsenal game is fine. We always play well against big teams, but then ultimately it doesn't matter. We lost the game, and I'll give you my opinion on Arsenal as well. So I think I've already given my opinion on Arsenal as well. Is that I've already said today was the tester, and we failed the test. We failed the audition today. We failed that test. And if you look back on all our predictions and stuff, I've said I think we'll finish somewhere between 8th and 10th. I think that we need to temper what we think about finishing 5th and 4th. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to have a very up and down season, and that is what we do on here. We are. I don't blame supporters for wanting something better. Like, how can you blame supporters from wanting something better? How can, and also let me go back to your point as well, right? How are we the problem, right? We don't fucking play on the football pitch, right? We don't play on the pitch. So can you tell me, for the love of God, how is it our fault if our team plays shit? We should be able to hype these players up, give them the confidence. So please tell me, because I don't get your logic, because I think it's pretty thick. How are we the problem? Did we make Fernandes today smash the ball over the goal? No. Have we made Fernandes play crap for 18 months? No. How is a fan base hyping up a team got anything to do with how they play? Are we responsible for Amorim picking that team today? No. Are we responsible for not selling into Saudi? No. Are we responsible for the lack of mentality in this squad? No. Are we responsible for finishing 15th? No. Are we responsible for supporting this team no matter what they do? Yes. Do the home fans, the fans that go to games, are they responsible for going to the games and paying money and buying shirts? Yes. Are they the ones that go home and away and spend their money and their time and their effort to support this club? Yes. So I don't understand what crap you're talking about. How are we responsible for that pile of shit today? I just don't get it. And no, Arsenal weren't poor. Arsenal were crap. We outplayed Arsenal, and Arsenal yesterday was shit for 30 minutes. Like, they couldn't break down Leeds, and Leeds are a championship club. I don't get this. You know, you're talking about us like overhyping our players. Arsenal, like, they now think they're going to win the league because they put 5 goals past the Leeds team, who were terrible, who basically had no idea how to play football. They didn't put up a fight. They didn't play anything after the second half. They let Arsenal through. It's got. If you're talking about to overhyping team, Arsenal right now are the epitome of overhyping. Against West Ham as well. It's just ludicrous that how you can blame a fan base for supporting their teams as responsible for the game today. It's just fucking ludicrous. It's just stupid, mate. I like City lost this weekend. Exactly. Do you think? Yeah, I do. Barcelona, yeah. Am I pushing defensive midfielder? Yeah. Cunha and Burma should be. I agree with you now. Kenneth says hi. Scott Brown said big up to the 36 in the chat. Exactly. Don't forget to like, favourite, and subscribe. Ahmad, welcome. Sorry, Ahmed. Bright. I don't know how people can defend this fraud after all the shambolic performances. The manager is an employee just like anyone else. I don't care. Bring new managers until we get it right. I'll respect that opinion, but I disagree with you completely. You know, what are we? You know, so what you're saying, let me just understand what you're saying, and I'm not going to talk down your opinion on this one, and I'll give you my counter argument to that. Is it is shambolic. So basically, what you're saying is we buy players for a manager because managers need their system, and then we change the manager if they're not doing well, and then we buy more players for a different system, and then we change that manager when things they don't go well, and then we buy players and then we change managers. What have we done since Fergie left? David Moyes, Van Gaal, Jose, Ollie, Ranić, Ten Hag. We've done exactly what you've said there. Done exactly. We've spent over £1 billion. Bearing in mind we've got no money, and this is the state that we're in. So I just don't get how that translate onto the pitch when that's what we've been doing for the last 13 years. Let's make it make sense to me. Because I just don't get it. Manu, not an Amorim man. I agree. Scott says we play terrible new plays until we start. I agree. Tactics all run. Amorim would die on his sword. Kenneth, I agree, my friend. Bruno is greedy on the ball. I agree. Sick of this guy. Fernandes syndrome. Who says today your keeper created the best shot. I agree with you. 100% agree with you on that. Is it sad? God damn right it is. It is absolutely abjectly terrible and sad that our goalkeeper, who's supposed to be the worst player on the pitch, basically created the best chance of the entire game. I cannot argue against that at all. Amorim will be sacked after Chelsea 5 games, 1 point. Chile Mason, I disagree. He won't be. He won't be. He's got the backing of the board. They've just bought him a bunch of players. He won't be sacked. Not after 5 games, mate. He won't be. He just no. Carlos, we need to play 4-5-1. Scott says Amorim has been moaning about he needs a CM for his system, and we go out and get 2 number 10s. Exactly. Play 10 CM position. No clue. I don't think he's been back fully. I agree. Joey says hi from Dublin. Hello, my friend. Ireland's a fantastic country. Bruno is unprofessional, mate. I agree with you on that one. Neil Crow, legend of the chat. Didn't take some fans long to turn on Belieber for bad performance. Ever thought maybe speculation has turned his head? Exactly, Neil. Glazers out. My aim is scoring more goals and getting 8th or 7th. Lucky we need 40 for Ghana, and I'm going to take a 9. Exactly. I agree. Glazers out. Jithin says the club is too big for players. They get nervous and frustrated. I think that yes, but I also think that there's a toxicity, there's a disease in this club, and we cannot shake it. There's this and I think Fernandes is the epitome of that. I think once Fernandes goes, you'll see a completely different team. And I think he does make a valid point, Neil. We can't play simple passes. Exactly. They started so well today, and it's almost like they forgot how to play football after the pen miss. But that's what I'm saying. Fernandes has such a big hold of this team. He needs to. That's why he just needs to go. They need to score goals on Wednesday, just to get a modicum. That's a great word, Neil. That is one of my favourite words, to get a modicum of confidence. Perfect word there. I blame whoever's in charge for sourcing the players. Why have we spent untold fortunes on Varane, Casemiro, Anthony? I couldn't agree more. Try blaming Woodward, Judge, and Murtock. The new era, the long game, Jose would have been beneficial. Mason said, relegation is looming. If they stay with Amorim, the coach has 8 weeks pre-season, and they look like they never met. I don't think we're going to get relegated, mate. I just don't see it. I just don't get it. I do agree about the pre-season, and I'll come on to my whole Amorim piece in a second as well. And now obviously feel free. So Joey Keaton says, as a fan, I can see it. Rúben is not going to last a month or so. I'll come on to that as well, my friend. Joey, welcome, my friend. Justin says, I believe in Rúben. He has to bring back the squad confidence. He can fix this. Carla said, Rúben won't be sacked until next year. So, amazing comments. Absolutely fantastic comments. And I'll tell you where I am on Amorim right now. I'll be consistent. It's out there. Videos I've done on it. And I'll tell you where I am until we get at least November, Joey, in my opinion. So, where am I on him? So, Amorim has come into this team with one of the worst toxic teams I think that we've ever had. Ever. He's come in and he's had a remit to get rid of Garnacho, Anthony, Rashford, Sancho. Get rid of those players. I think he's done right on that. Okay, he's inherited a team that is a mishmash of Ten Hag players. Of some of them even go back to Jose, to Van Gaal. You know, Luke Shaw is still here. He's inherited an injury-prone side. You know, Luke Shaw couldn't be bothered to play for the best part of 2 years. Mason Mount was injured. Martinez was injured. None of these players are his. Now, he's been asked to come in and play a certain brand of football. He was asked. He didn't have to come in. I will agree with that one. He didn't have to come in, but he's come in. He was picked. He was told he wanted to come in this season. He's come in and been told to play his way, right? Without the players. So it was always going to be a difficult part to the season. There's no coach, in my opinion, that could do anything with these players. He's inherited low mentality, bottle jobs, who are some of the worst players I've ever seen. He's inherited Fernandes as a captain who was terrible, no style of play, and he's been asked to do it. So now he's gone into the summer. He finished 15th last season. I agree that maybe a red flag to me would be, why can't he get a tune out of these players? Okay, he's playing his system. They can't play his system. Then he's had a pre-season where he's been given 2 number 10s. Why has he been given 2 number 10s? I don't know. And a striker. His 4th choice striker. He's got the same team. I cannot stress this enough. He's got the same team that finished 15th last season. That's not on him. That is not on him. The final was on him. He had an opportunity to do something in that final and he couldn't get his players up for it. That is on him. Pre-season comes around. He's been given players. We spent a vast amount of money. Now, what Ineos's plan clearly was, because they're thick as shit, is that let's get 2 number 10s. Let's get 2 number 10s, right, that have scored a couple of goals between them and assists, because that's what we need. And this footballing excellence place is so stupid. They think that if you take those 2 players from their respective teams, that they're going to score the same amount of goals and assists in this team, right? And then Amorim has had a pre-season, and we've all been told these players are fitter, these players are better, these players are these amazing players. He's been asking for a goalkeeper. He's been asking for a centre midfielder, because he knows that he knows that this team is shit. And he's not been given his players. I don't care what anybody says. You can tell me that he's been, and I respect opinions. This doesn't mean I'm saying to you that my opinion is the end of this opinion. But he hasn't been given his players. He's got the same team that's not his team that finished 15th last season, and he has to work miracles. He's got Luke Shaw, who is. Luke Shaw is just not it. He's got Mason Mount, Martinez to come back. This is not his team, and he's been asked to work a miracle with this team who cannot play his system. What is he supposed to do? I'll give you my opinion on today's world, but that's my overall arching opinion on Amorim. I think he needs time. I think he needs players, and then once he's had his players, then and only then can we objectively say that he's not a very good coach. The problem for me is that we keep on sacking these managers. We need to sack these players. There were players in this squad. Fernandes, he should go. Casemiro should be going. Ugarte for me should go. Luke Shaw should go. Fernandes should go. You know, there's probably about 5 or 6 players that need to go. He can't do that. Simply cannot. That cannot happen. If I have to be fair, and maybe I need to realise that maybe Amorim is not the guy. Maybe you guys see it in a different way to me, and maybe you guys are right. But I don't want to sack another manager. I don't want to sack another coach. Maybe he is not the guy, but unless he gets his players to play his system, I don't see what he can do, right? And is it fair that he gets sacked? No. Is today on him 100%? So that's my defence of Amorim. But now this is the reality for me, is he picks the team. Okay, today is on him. If I was to score him today, I'd give him a 2. I thought his team selection, and this is not the first time, as you say, in that final against Spurs, he picked a similar team and he lost. This today is on him. Picking Luke Shaw, I think is fucking disgraceful. I don't mean to swear, but I think it's absolutely disgraceful. Luke Shaw for me needs to go. I know this. Some of you in the chat like Luke Shaw, but he's got to go. He is not. He's the epitome of what I don't like in this team. Players who have chance after chance after chance. He's been injured, and he's just not the guy. He needs to go. He picks Ahmad as a wing back. He's not a wing back. He's not a wing back at all. Okay, he's not a wing back. He's playing out of position. He's a number 10. Fernandes is a 10. Xerxes is a 10. Cunha is a 10. Mason Mount is a 10. And Burmo is a 10. We've got 6, 7 number 10s. Casemiro is still here. Why is he picking Casemiro? He's got Ugarte. He's got Mainu. Why is he not picking those players? Fernandes in that number 8 position to me is one of the most ludicrous, irresponsible, stubborn. You look at what happened to Ten Hag because he was stubborn. He's playing Mason Mount. Mason Mount is done. He had some good touches today, but he's so ineffective. He's a player that you bring on for the last 10 to 15 minutes. Cunha needs the ball to his feet, and Burmo, they need the ball to their feet. Is he instructing Fernandes to basically bypass ball to feet and keep chucking 30, 40 yard balls out? This obsession, we've got this obsession with these long balls. Play the ball to feet, and then he's not playing a striker. So as much as I will defend Amorim to a certain point, Amorim now has got Amorim's got a judgment call to make. If you persist with Fernandes, you are going to get sacked. If you persist with Mason Mount, you persist not playing a striker, you persist with Luke Shaw, you persist with Casemiro. These players have sacked managers before. You are going to get sacked. I don't want him sacked, but if he keeps playing and he keeps picking the wrong team and being stubborn, he's going to get sacked. And that for me is, I don't want to sack another coach. But Amorim is slowly but surely losing this fan base, and I understand why. I absolutely understand why people have their opinions on him. I still maintain that we need to be patient as we can, but patience only goes to a certain point. I'm not stupid enough to know if Amorim, I predicted 8 from 8. If Amorim is 8 from 8 and he goes 8 from 10, he's done. If Amorim loses to Burnley, and then we've got City, Chelsea, where does he get his points from? If I've predicted 8 from 8, if he gets 8 from 8 and he goes into Christmas and he's not picking up points, he's done. I cannot defend that. I want patience, but there has to be a balance between patience and stupidity. You know, I want patience, but if he's just not picking up those points, and we are so far behind with this money spent, whether we like it or not, he's picking the pivot. He's picking that Casemiro Fernandes pivot. He's done. So he needs now to start picking up the slack, and he needs to make decisions, and he needs to move Fernandes from 8. He needs to put him as a 10. Mbeumo and Cunha. What the hell is he going to do with those two? So if he persists with Bruno as 8, he's done. Absolutely done. There is better than Humlin. I agree. Šeško deserves way more. And again, if we're talking about Šeško, right? Šeško come on today. Where was the service? Like, there's no service. It reminded me of it is the graveyard shift. It still is the grave. We've still not scored a goal, by the way. It was an own goal today. We've still not scored a single goal. And we brought these players in to score goals. Get the ball to their feet. Šeško, we need goals. You're not playing a striker. I just can't fathom what Amorim is trying to do today. Today was on him completely. If he keeps on persisting with doing this, he's going to get sacked, and he's just going to sack himself. And keep saying Turkey, mate. You're getting banned. So talking absolute nonsense. Carlos said stop spamming. Yeah, he's gone, mate. We can't sack him. Carlos, mate. I don't want to sack another manager, mate. I don't want to. But if Amorim persists with this team, he's going to get sacked. He needs to play. He needs to play his number 10s. If that's what he's wanted to do, play his striker, get a CM in, play Ugarte or a Mainu in there, and just play a proper system. We're 1 point in 2 games. Yeah, I get that, and it is the first 2 games of the season, but this table and this Premier League waits for no man. Amorim has no credit left in this fan base. 1 point from these 2 games. I'm not necessarily bothered by that. We played 2 good Premier League teams, but it's the performance today for me that really sticks with me. I wanted a performance from Arsenal today, and we didn't get that performance. We were so much worse, and that is the concerning thing for me, is that performance today, why we couldn't get up for that game. And Amorim's baffling decisions to still persist with Mason Mount, to still persist with Luke Shaw, to still persist with Fernandes. He played for 90 minutes. Bring him off. I don't care. Take him off. He's petulant. He was awful today. I was embarrassed today. He should have started without a doubt. Maybe he does something in the first half. Šeško needs time to bend. He has got no time at all. Instead of sacking, we need to back him. Exactly, Scott. You know, there's a difference between criticising a coach, and as you've seen now, I will criticise him. I will not let him get away with that. Against Arsenal, that wasn't his fault. Today was his fault, and I think we need to critique him. I think we need to criticise him where it's due. But I want to back him. I do not want to sack this manager. I think he sacks himself, but I do not want to sack another coach. I want him to succeed, but we need to see. We need to see what he can do as a coach. These are his players that he's got. He He just needs to do, whether it's a tweak to his system, he now needs to coach, and otherwise he's going to sack himself. October, November looks really tough. Brighton, home, Scousers away, Spurs away. Exactly, mate. He just needs points by then. We have Chelsea and City. 2 games are scary. We haven't beaten Chelsea since 2022. Mainly it's not good enough for that role. But who is? We've got nobody else. You know, if Casemiro is getting into that position, how bad must Manu be? Like, how bad must Ugarte be for Casemiro to start? I don't know if he's trying to prove a point, but he's baffling to me. I just don't get it. Amorim must play Bruno. If he's not, Amorim must. He's just not going to drop him. Manu could work in this team if we had another athletic sim. Neil agreed with you completely. Mason Mount was the best player today. I don't know what game you were watching, my friend. Mason Mount is very good in a 2x2 or a 3x3 square. Right? Mason Mount is very good at flicks. The ball comes to Mason Mount and he's very good at, in that little pocket of space, passing it around. What does Mason Mount do? He's ineffective. He's got no athleticism. He's got no pace. He can't play the number 6. When Mason Mount went into the midfield, Fulham came at us. Fulham went through that middle and he had nothing. He can't tackle. He's not fast enough. He can't get up and down the pitch. He doesn't do anything. Like, he's very good at receiving the ball in the pocket, and he does his nice little flicks and he does these nice things. He doesn't run a goal. He doesn't pick up the ball and then make a 30-yard run because he can't. Mason Mount was not our best player today. Yoro was our best player today. In fact, I think Yoro for me was the best player. He's been our best player in the last 2 games. Mason Mount for me is a very deceptive player. He's good in pockets, but he does nothing. He contributes literally nothing in this team. We would be better with a striker, and Mason Mount comes on for Acuna or in Burmo. Mason Mount, absolutely for me today, not the best player at all today. Bruno should have been given Cunha the penalty. Exactly. Danny B, big up JB, big up my friend. Bang on Santos Flow. Yeah, I agree with you, mate. Please, is Bruno not dispensable? I don't get it. No, he's not, is he? He's absolutely not. Ahmad, Donnarumma, Xerxes are the only players I'm comfortable with. The rest are very inconsistent, except Shesko, of course. Ahmad, my friend, has been played out of position. I feel sorry for the lad. He's one of our best attacking mid-players. This obsession with number 10s, I don't get it. I don't get this Amorim system. You know, I do get it, but I don't get it with all these bunch of number 10s. I need to understand. He needs to explain what it is he's trying to do, because I don't get it. Just with Xerxes, not sure if he'll fit. Euro was the best player today. Neil, 100% agree, my friend. Bruno again is like a headless chicken. I agree. He is going to go to City. Lemans will be our new keeper. Let me guess, you are Donnarumma. See, Pug Spark says nothing really needs to change. Let's all stand behind the team. So much good things. Pugged. Everything needs to change. I respect your positive opinion. Of course I do. You know, it's really lovely to hear positive opinions. I will happily stand by this team. You know, I've done watch-alongs at 1 o'clock in the morning. You know, I am behind this team, and I think we are all behind this team. That goes without saying. Whether or not we disagree with players and we don't like players and whatever else, I think it's fair to say that we are all behind this team. I think to be on this channel and to come on and give your passionate views, people do it because they are behind these players, right? So I think that is the 101. But where I disagree with you, my friend, is everything needs to change. You know, I think there are so many changes that we need to make. I can name Luke Shaw needs to go. Fernandes' position is all wrong. Casemiro's awful. Mason Mount, I like the play. He does some good things, but he's not right. Delone needs to go. I think he's awful. He was terrible today when he came on. Ahmad is not a right wing back. We're not playing a striker. There is now. I do agree with you that there could potentially be some good things ahead, but Amorim needs to have a long, hard look at this team and ask himself some questions. Ask himself, is he gonna go into live and die on Fernandes? And if I was Fernandes tonight, I would take a look at myself in the mirror and ask myself, was I happy with that performance today? Yeah, I honestly thought Bruno was going to give the penalty to Burma. There is no way, mate. Why do our players just clear the ball away? He said, yes, exactly. One of the things, Blue Edits, that I have noticed with this team, they try and kick these balls over the top for Cunha and Burmo to sprint onto because they split. Give the ball to Cunha's feet. I don't understand. I do understand because they're awful. Give the ball to Cunha's feet. He will do the rest. Absolutely do the rest. I think Fernandes should be phased out of this team. You know, I'm not a Fernandes hater. He's been like this for 18 months, and today was disgusting. I'm disgusted with his performance today. I thought it was awful. Amorim is killing Ahmad football. I agree with you. Anti-flick system would work at United, but it's obviously too late. I agree. Like Delone, Amorim should start benching Bruno. Yeah, I agree with you, mate. Ineos, we're looking good. Get Lamens from Spain. Lucky, I agree. Need to sign Banderson as right wing back in January, mate. I really hope so. Badass says 4-3-3 isn't working. Simple, mate. I wish it was a 4-3-3. It's not a 4-3-3. It's a 3. It's a 5. It's a 5-2-2-1, mate. I would pay money right now to have a 4-3-3. I think if we had a 4-3-3, I think we'd be fine. But we're not. We're playing a 5. We're playing a 3 at the back, 2 wing backs, 2 splitting number 10s, 2 centre midfielders, and in fact we're playing a false 9. So we're basically playing a 5. We're basically playing a 5-2-2-1. It's just not working, is it? I have this weird feeling about Burma. He's lightning quick, but it feels like the ball does not stick to his feet for some reason. Cunha needs the ball to feet, mate. It's because we're not giving the ball to feet, and he's just trying to do stuff, but we can't expect him to do everything, and there's just no support. There's just that wing back position for me. He needs support, and there simply is no support. I think that's what the issue is. The biggest mistake last season was not keeping Rude until this summer. No. Yes, okay, yes, I agree with that. I actually think, Blue, our biggest mistake was not keeping Ten Hag. And I'll tell you for why. Is because with Ten Hag, we would with Ten Hag, but it was Ten Hag's system. Ten Hag's players, Ten Hag's system. I think we would have fared better keeping Ten Hag and then getting rid of him this season. And I know that might sound strange, but I think Ten Hag would have won that final. And I think not because Ten Hag is good, just because it was Ten Hag's system, Ten Hag's players, and I think that we would have not finished 15th. I think we would have maybe done 12th and won that final. I do. And I think because it was his system, I think he should have stayed, and then we would have sacked him then. And Burma still looking unfit, however, he'll get there. Yeah, Neil, I agree. That a stronger midfield, even Shaw gets stuck in the back. Luke Shaw's awful, mate. Xerxes be back. Long story short, Bruno needs dropping. So does Casa. Star Kobe with Mount. Shesko up top. Kobe look for passes to feet. Scott, mate, I respect your opinion a lot, but Mason Mount for me is done. I don't want to see him in I don't want to see Mount in the midfield. It didn't work today. We got ran through. He's not physical enough. He's not. He's Mason Mount today. If we play Mason Mount in that centre midfield position, it will be just as bad. We'll be absolutely annihilated in that centre midfield. I don't know who plays there. I think Mount and Ugarte, but then I don't know where Fernandes then fits in with that. Lebcon says hi. Nico said Nagelsmann was my choice. Yep, I agree with you, mate. Chief Herb, let's not go there. JB, Ten Hag lost. I agree with you. I do agree with you, Chief. I do agree with you on that one. Ten Hag's position was an untenable position. I get that. I really, really do. But if we're talking about who would I rather be in charge until the end of the season, Ruud or Ten Hag, I'd go with Ten Hag. Ruud, not for me. Not for me. I mean, he can't even coach Leicester. So I think Ruud would have made us go down, mate. I don't think Ruud was the guy. But again, people's opinions. Ten Hag ultimately was the right thing to do, but do I think we picked the wrong coach for this bunch of players? Possibly. Ten Hag and Ruud would have worked last season, not poor Amorim. Amorim and his faves causing us games. I agree with you, mate. Marco Gasparetti, what's your opinion on Højlund? My opinion on Højlund, my friend, is that I think we did him dirty. How is he supposed to lead the line at 20 years old? No experience, has no idea what this club is really. No support. Nobody played the ball to his feet. Playing the graveyard shift. There was no balls to him. There was no trust in him. Fernandes just again last season wanted to do the whole lot. He had a Garnacho running down that side, shooting. Ahmad as well still is really, really selfish. And you had nobody passing to him, nobody getting crosses into the box, nobody passing to him. Ball didn't stick to feet. Okay, I can argue a bit that is Højlund the one, probably not. But it's not all of his fault. It really isn't. It's not his fault. I think he deserves a move away. I think he deserves to be removed from this club for his own career. I think that imagine being in that toxic club at that time with all those toxic players and egos who all think they're the best player, who all want to shoot from 50 yards. The boy had no chance. I want him to do what Scotty did, go to Napoli and have a great career. That is what I hope for him. Maybe he wasn't good enough. We don't know, but I think he needs that move away, and I hope he gets it. That Zizou, if he gets sacked, no, Zizou's never coming here, mate. Zizou is never coming here in a million billion years, mate. He is just not coming here. Why would you want to come and take over this garbage? There are a couple of players in here, but why would you want to take over Luke Shaw at 30 years old, who is done? Mason Mount, who average player at best. No, Zizou he's not. Zizou is a coach. What we need is a rebuilder. As I said, I have sorry. We look at Zizou. If we sack Amorim, yeah, Ineos blunder there. If we reach a situation of having to pull the trigger again in a row, or Glasner, then Glasner not bad. Nagelsmann after the World Cup. I don't really want to think about pulling the trigger yet, mate. I mean, yeah, we can mention names, of course we can, but I just don't want him sacked yet, mate. I think it's very hard when we draw a game. It feels like a loss. Last week felt like a win, even though it was a loss, and today feels like a loss, even though it was a draw. I just think we just need to. Let's just see what happens in the first 5 games. And if we still play in like this after the first 5 games, then questions will be asked and questions need to be asked. The pressure is on already, and we know that we need to be able to win. 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 We need to be and we know what these players are like with pressure. How do you think? How do you think of Amorim is doing? Do you think it's as simple as results being? Rick, I don't see what he can do. Like, we've got, again, I'm going to keep saying this, mate, until I'm blue in the face. But not because I want people to change their minds, but just because I think it just needs to be said, right? What is Amorim supposed to do with these players? He needs players. Instead of wasting 70 million on Mbeumo and 70 million on Shesko, and I mean it in the most respectful way, he needed 4 or 5 players. Go and get him and Arakadere. Go and get him a cheaper up and coming striker. Get him get him a Steeler. Go and get him an Agume. For what those 2 cost, you could get 4 players. That's what he needed. He needed numbers. He needed bodies. And we've got 2 number 10s. We've got 6 number 10s. I don't get it. So right now, it's very hard to judge. Is it Amorim or is it the recruitment? I'm leaning on the side of the recruitment, because what is he supposed to do? I don't get it. Ten Hag had all the players he wanted. He can't do anything, and they're all mid. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say that that Ten Hag was a great coach because he transpires that he wasn't. He was very, very stubborn as well, and Rashford sacked him, Garnacho sacked him, all these players sacked him. So I'm not gonna. I think that you can go either way. I just think Amorim came in at the wrong time. Amorim sacking Rashford was a mistake. Blue edits, mate. No, I don't agree with that, my friend. Amorim sacking Rashford was a mistake. He was good for a while, and then allegedly Rashford was slacking. It's a kind of hot take, but Rashford should have been starting for us. No. I respect your opinion, and I'll never talk your opinion down. I think everybody has to have their opinion on that. That's probably one of the first times I've heard that. I think that's a very interesting point, but not for me. Rashford is not being the same. His ego, his attitude. He's not a team player. He thinks he's the absolute star in his own show. He's not for me, mate. No, Rashford should not have been playing last season. I'm glad he went. I think he got taught a lesson. He should not have been playing at all. I don't think. I think we'd be worse. I would love Rashford. Again, this is not about Rashford. I'd love Rashford to come up clutch and come back. And he just didn't want to. He just didn't want to work hard. I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad he's gone. We should have went for Unai, Thomas Frank. Again, I don't see what they could do with these players. I just don't see it. Just don't see it. People blaming United for holding Anthony back, and Anthony moved to an easier league. We saw against Chelsea in the Conference League final. I don't get that. Anthony's awful. It tells you everything you need to know with Anthony when his own manager, who brought him into the club, and then his own manager didn't want to play him. I think that tells you everything that you need to know. It's fine taking shots from 20, 30 yards. Scott, that bugs the hell out of me. When they're taking 20, 30 yard shot, get the fucking ball down. I can't stand it. Get the ball down to Cunha and Mbeumo. That's why you brought them into this club. And I want to see 6-yard goals. I want to see goals in the box. I want to see headers in the box. I want to see simple tap-ins. I don't want to see 30-yard smasheroonies in there. I want to see simple 6-yard goals. Get it into the box. Get it in for the striker. Maybe Cunha or Mbeumo scores the odd goal, but a little runs into the box. I don't want to see this 20, 30-yard crap. It just bugs me. Do you think Yoro on the left looks more mobile than the right when he goes forward? Yoro, mate, is a different class. Absolutely different class, mate. I think he's just different gravy. I think you can put him any side and he just plays extremely well. Don't agree. Ineos are clueless. Scott, there is just so much still needed. Second game, guys, calm the fuck down. We don't need to sack the manager after 2 games. I do admire the positivity, but I think to counteract that point about it's only 2 games, it's not just 2 games, is it? It's been the last year. It's been the last 18 months. We're here again. What's different to last season? And I get it. It is only 2 games, but it's not 2 games. It's pre-season. It's the same. If it was a different team, different players, fine. It's not, mate. It is the same players doing the same things in a different season. We've signed players. I don't know why we signed 2 number 10s. It's the same plays, the same way of playing again and again and again and again. So I get it. It's worrying. Are we already going to write a season off after 2 games? I just don't know. I just don't know right now. We're spending like Liverpool and adding to this crap. Exactly. We need a master tactician. If you notice, Mount was a piss when he got brought off instead of Bruno. Of course, he can't sub Bruno. I think there's definitely a split on Mason Mount to me. I'm in the Mason Mount is not a very good camp. I'm in the he's very good. As I say, if you play him down the middle and you give him that sort of free, I'm not even a free role. If you say to him, look, if you stay in this box area and you kind of move backwards and forwards, and he's fine, but he's no physicality. He hasn't done anything of any note to assist in a goal, to a through pass. He's very good at flicks and tricks and whatever else, but he's ineffective. He does nothing, and I get people's opinions on him, but he's just not for me. If we need 1 billion to spend to rebuild, I wouldn't trust this to. Green Legend said we should have got Gyökeres. Green Legend, I don't think it would have made a difference, mate. The strikers that we get are in the graveyard shift. You could get Cristiano back and play him up front. He's still not scoring in this team. We don't get balls to people's feet. We don't put balls into the box. I don't think it matters. I don't find in the summer. It's just Shivram. You can argue that, mate. I don't think you're wrong. But for me, the problem right now is the Amorim system. I think that is the major problem right now. These players do not know how to play it, and it's almost like they are refusing to play it. And he says, hi, Digsby Dinner. He comes from Sweden. The girls are very nice. He dumped his girlfriend to play in red and white. He's scoring goals with a cannon on his chest. His name is Victor Gyökeres. I saw that, actually. He comes from Sweden. The girls are very nice. He dumped his girlfriend to play in red and white. He's scoring goals with a cannon on his chest. Victor Gyökeres. Mate, what can I say? He scored 2 goals. He's you can tell a good striker, but when he's not playing well, he still scores goals, right? That Arsenal team, when they're a well-drilled, old team, they know what they're doing. Gyökeres could be that missing piece. And when Gyökeres gets used to the league, and I think he will do, he's going to score goals. Yeah, and that chant is hilarious. Hasn't had a sniff of a ball. Like, nobody's playing it to him. Like, no one's playing it into his feet, and he's not starting the game. Shesko, I just don't want him to turn into a Haaland. Forget about the man to talk. Gyökeres is the real deal. Let's see. He scored a good goal. He scored a penalty, and he hasn't looked particularly great, but he still scored a goal. So let's see, shall we? Thank you for respecting the opinion. I also want to add Garnacho is an academy grad, and there's the ego of Cristiano. Always respect opinions, mate, even if you don't agree. Garnacho for me is I just want to see him gone now. You know, my opinion was I want to see him rot. I don't. I just want him gone. I just want Garnacho gone. Just get him out of the club. Just go. Why don't you do yourself a favour and go support Spurs, you ram? Wipe your hands, wipe your face, wipe your ass in all Arsenal. You're a keeper. We should go for Arteta. I wouldn't want to go for Arteta because I actually want to win things. So Arteta is not for me, mate. I don't think you win things with him. I'd rather shoot myself in the foot. Keep Arteta all you want. We don't need a second invisible trophy. He knows how to build a squad. Green Legend, he does, mate. He does know how to build a squad, but he just needs to. He just needs to. He just needs to win a league. He just needs to do something, mate. So I don't disagree that he can build squads, but he needs to build a winning squad. That's the last thing we need. 1 point closer to the Premier League. Love it. No people like me aren't reactionary. I think we need to not be reactionary. Building a team full of Arteta clones. What signing ballers? Arteta does my head in at times, but he's better than Amorim. Isn't this the fan base where we're like Arteta out? Let's get Arteta out. Oh, we can't stand him. Just get him out. He's a fucking fraud. He's been all this time and he's been had 3 years at the wheel. We need to get Arteta out because he's awful. Let's get him out. And that's not a dig at you, by the way. But that is all I heard for the longest time, for about 2 years. Amorim's been here for not even a year yet, and all we heard from AFTV standing outside the Emirates for 2 years. I think even 3 years, even after 3 years, it was always Amorim out, get him out. He's a scumbag. We can't stand him. This is not winning football. He's been given all this money and he can't win a game of football. That's all I'm saying. Amorim's been here for a year, so I think he needs time. Mount is not good for us. I agree. Eze is a Don. He's not even played for you yet, mate. So I think you need to let him play first. Because you don't understand ball, you can't react. We're busy discussing the Prem, which is important, but we also need to remember Amorim has to win at least a Carabao Cup or not FA Cup if he wants to regain the fans' trust. Interesting take on that one, my friend. I think the league for me is priority. Is he winning a cup? I think he needs more than a Carabao Cup, mate. I think he needs an FA Cup. Would you take an FA Cup in 12th place? I don't know. If he can win an FA Cup, then fine. But the more I think about it, Blue Edits, I think the more that I agree with you. I trust him right now. I get the fan base, or some of the fan base doesn't, but I think I agree with that. I do. Digsby's dinner. You were finished below Everton this season. How do you know? Like this is right. Arsenal have played 2 games. You were shit in the first game, right? Scored a lucky header. You were shit against Leeds for 30 minutes, and then Leeds did fuck all. Leeds literally gave you the ball. They did nothing with it. You scored 2 corners, fine, a penalty, right? But Leeds did nothing. They were shit. They're a championship team who's come. We've played 2 established Premier League teams. You beat us through a lucky header, and we played Fulham and drew. It's 2 games, but Arsenal haven't been brilliant, mate. Just because Arsenal win, this is what cracks me up, right? This is the hypocrisy in this league, right? Arsenal play crap pretty much for 2 games. You win 5-0, and Arsenal are the best team in basically the whole world, and Gyökeres is going to score 50 goals a season, and you're going to win the league. Like, if United fans were saying that, we get slaughtered. But because you won 5-0 against an absolute shit Leeds team, but apparently you're going to win the league and you're the best team in the world, make it make sense, because it absolutely doesn't make sense to me. Three at the back as everyone in the Premier League. No, I don't like three at the back. If you get rid of Arteta, then you win the league. Where are we now? So Joey Keaton says, you're trying to win a game and you bring on Maguire in heaven and he berserks him. Joey, mate, make it make sense. Joey, make it make sense to me, right? You're also adding in Mason Mount to that midfield position as well. Joey, mate, you make sense. What make it make sense to me, because I have no idea what he's doing. I know we'll disagree, but I don't see City winning the Prem this season. Or as favourites, they just lost to Spurs like last season, who also don't write City off yet. City's team baffled me as well. If you look at who was on the bench for City, I don't understand why Pep decided to play that team. I would say don't write them off yet, but I think you're right. I don't think City are going to win the league. I think Liverpool will win the league. Arsenal will bottle it again. I still think we'll be out of City and Liverpool. I think Liverpool will do it. In Shank, we should get back Ollie. No thanks. Jin says we should get Ollie back so we can sack him the next game. Kirk, if Ruby doesn't sort this out, he's in trouble. Kirk, agree, mate. Agreed. Digby dinner, I'm not Arteta out. Well, you wouldn't be Arteta out because you finished second last season. He's a good coach. Like, there is no doubting that Arteta is a good coach. But can Arteta win stuff? That is the question. You've not won the league for 20 odd years. Can Arteta now win stuff? United could have saved so much money by hiring Conte. No, thank you. Code Logic, absolutely not. I'm not convinced Xerxes fit. I agree with you. This Man United team is rubbish with the. This United team is rubbish with a silly manager. Do you wanna quantify that with a logical statement? I mean, I don't mind it, but give me something more than that. Why are we a rubbish team and why is the manager silly? We're talking about it here and we're giving our opinions, but feel free to let me know in that. Where are we? Finished 12th and won the play shit and win is Digsby dinner. I said that. To give me my credit for Arsenal, I said that winning when you're playing badly is the mark of a champion. I like JB with no filters. Respect the rage. I need it. I agree. He's also won the Prem. If they're on the bench, they're fit. Yeah, Joey, I don't disagree, mate. Wesley, love your Manc accent, brilliant. I haven't got a Manc accent, mate. I don't know where you're from, my friend. Low Arsenal on United fans, exactly. Well said, JB. Arsenal are getting more respect despite Spurs winning away City, exactly. We're not, but the fans come here apparently weird in it, exactly. Can't exactly help where he comes from. I do not have a Scouse accent. I mean, how can you say that mine's Scouse, mate? I'm from Essex. Like I sound like a bloody Cockney. For real Arsenal fans are gassing up their team so much. Exactly. It is exactly that, right? You've got Gooner fans saying, we won 5-0. They were shit. For first 30 minutes, they were shit. And Leeds were awful. And that's what bugs me, is that when these teams win 5-0, we won 5-0, we're back. It's just It's just ridiculous logic. McTominay's strong, athletic. He's literally cold logic. Don't press me, because McTominay, regret. It was the right thing for him to go, but we ballsed up on that one, mate. Ballsed up. I sorted United out in my FC manager mode. You bought Valverde, Lunin, and Hernandez and Shesko. Lucky success says hi, hello. Number one, Pep has stayed on too long. Yeah, I think his time is coming as well, my friend. I think his time. Code Logic says Napoli welcomed him to the airport like a second coming of Maradona's, where he was laughing stock. I couldn't sum it up better, 100%. AFTV content keeps me happy to think how shit we was, and the second win of the league. I know, right? They are an embarrassment. Arsenal look strong. Green Legend, no, they don't. This is the point. Arsenal will get stronger, but you don't look strong. I can't even. You've only played 45 minutes in 2 matches where you've looked okay, but Leeds had to be shit. Leeds were awful. I don't know if you watched that game or if you just ignored it completely. Arsenal in the second half come out. Leeds might as well have not been playing. They rolled over and let you tickle their belly. They did nothing. No tackling, hardly any defending. And actually, then when Leeds decided to start attacking you, you had nothing. So I don't really know what you're seeing in this, mate. Where's Leeds taking the mick out of you, being a fair enough. Fair enough. But Manx don't have Scouse accents, though. Anyway, the point I'm making is footballers are humans who take confidence from support of their fans, making the same mistake of current players. Exactly. The only Arsenal fan I respect is Lee Gunner. The rest are stuck in Arteta voodoo spell. At least you don't have a Birmingham. I'm not even going to try that. Alright, mate. Good. Okay, sound like that, mate. I think, alright, mate. I think the squad, the squad depth is great. Anyone says anything bad about a Manchester accent, you're getting timed out of the day. Mate, I have been to Manchester many times. One of my clients is up there, so I'm up there all of the time. Nothing wrong with it, mate. Depth, wait till you. I don't think we looked that good last couple of games, but we beat Liverpool next week. Liverpool are a good side, mate. Let's see if Saka won't break his leg before the World Cup. Code Logic, Lamend is used to playing in front of crowds of 14k, dropping straight in. Again, mate, I think that's a very good point, my friend. RSV, my biggest concern is Amorim might actually be compromising the system to suit Bruno. Exactly, mate. Irish accents are, I'm just saying, outside of W. If I tried to do, no, I'm not even going to try to, because I would destroy it. Anyway, guys, 2 hours, mate. I'm going to go 2 hours on the stream. I've loved every second of it. Absolutely loved every second of this. I love the fact that we don't agree. I love the fact that we watch football in different ways. I love the fact that so he says Cunha and Mbeumo are top players, but we'll ruin them. Surely there's a young goalkeeper at Old Trafford, because as a Liverpool fan, I'm getting a great buzz watching your keeper. Oh, Joey, mate. I'm not getting a buzz, mate. His corners, mate. His corners are absolutely, mate. I'm glad we can still make you laugh, right? Come, we beat Grimsby Walks. I don't know, mate. I absolutely don't know. The guy looks up Jamie Carragher's accent on Liverpool is retro, literally Welsh. I love it. Guys, I am going to go 2 hours. I've got to get to bed. You guys on here, I mean, everybody who comes on here, whether you're a Liverpool fan, Arsenal fan, I love the banter. And what I'll thank you guys for is being respectful. One thing I will say is that, as rival fans, this banter is brilliant. There's absolutely nothing wrong with banter. I love it. we'll get our opinions across, but I do love the fact that you guys come in here and you are respectful, and I really do appreciate the respect, and it's absolutely fantastic. So appreciate it, guys. Thank you to those in the chat. Lucky, Neil, Digsby's Dinner, Chief Herb, Walked, Blue Edits, Joey Keaton. Someone's just taken their chat off. Scott, of course, legend. Green legend. Jesus, man, there's so many of you. Tulip Plays, I think, was in here as well. Lucky. Odes. I can't get through you all. Just absolutely amazing, guys. And one thing I always say at the end of these streams is really important for me to say this and acknowledge you guys, is that one thing in life you can't buy. No matter what you do, you can buy a subscription to Sky Sports, you can buy football shirts, you can buy cars, you can buy houses, but you can't buy time. It's so important that you can't buy time. The fact that you chose to spend some time with me, whether it's a minute, an hour, a second, it means so much to me that you give me your time. I love spending time with you guys. The fact you give this chat your time, it's amazing. I genuinely can't thank you guys enough. I've subbed for the banter. Thanks, buddy. Patrick Smith, were you happy with the Spurs result? Not really. City, for me, we're not a rival yet, so it literally, I don't take joy in other clubs losing as such. We're all rivals, but for me, I'd rather concentrate on my team, and it's always good for banter. Right? I love it for banter, but I want to concentrate on our team, and then maybe if one day we are back up there, then potentially maybe then I'll care a bit more, but absolutely not. So yeah, thank you for being here, guys. It means so much to me. The chat, I just love it so much. So I will be here probably tomorrow. See what will happen. If anything breaks, obviously I'll jump back on again. Let you guys know. It's not been the best of days. Liverpool are playing tomorrow. I might do a watch along for that. I think that's a cracking game. Those games are always brilliant. So I might do a watch along for that tomorrow night. See if I can get the time from the missus. And yeah, I'll see you guys very soon. So thank you all 1,000 times. Thank you so much. And I'll see you again very, very soon. All take care, guys.